If you're anything like me, you're still watching the Season 5 trailer for the Dragon Prince. I've probably watched it a few times by now, but there's a character at the end that we're going to talk about today. You might be familiar with this character, and even if you're not, we're going to dive into a couple of theories and reasons why I think this character is going to be incredibly important for Season 5. What's going on, everyone? James here, and today we're talking all about the Dragon Prince Season 5 because there is someone we are going to break down and we're going to talk all about, and that is the Bloodmoon Huntress herself, Kim Dale. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce this name of hers. We're going to go with Kim Dale. Does that work? Okay. If you missed it, I dropped my trailer reaction and breakdown yesterday, so you can find that link floating around at the top of the screen or in the description below. And yes, I got emotional. A lot of things happened at once. It was an incredible trailer, but one that caught my eye was a character that I'm unfamiliar with. And that is the Bloodmoon Huntress. And a lot of you were trying to give me some backstory, but I decided to take a deeper dive, do some research, and bring you some theories as to why this character is going to really shake things up in Season 5. Now, before we get started, if it is your first time here at the channel and you love movies, TV, and all the news in between, well, this is the place for you. So go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and hit the thumbs up button again if you're a big fan of the Dragon Prince. And let me know down below some of your theories surrounding this character. Will the Bloodmoon Huntress turn out to be a full-on villain? Or do you think they might actually be a good person? I don't know. After this trailer, I don't think they can be good at all. But there's going to be a lot of discussion we're going to have today. So let's begin with establishing who Kim Dale is as a character. According to the wiki page for the Dragon Prince, Kim Dale is also known as the Bloodmoon Huntress. She's an ancient moonshadow elf who uses forbidden magic to prolong her own lifespan. And we know this because, and we'll talk about this of course too, Kim Dale was mentioned in a story with Queen Aditi, and this was like many years ago, so like, and she still looks young, so yeah, she's using some type of dark magic, y'all. It ain't good. And not only does this forbidden magic prolong her own lifespan, it also requires her to consume the blood of her enemies that are still living. What the heck? Why? This is terrifying, guys. If we thought bloodbending in Avatar The Last Airbender was terrifying, this sounds even scarier to me. So I went a little bit deeper and also learned that during the Blood Moon, this is going to help her essentially become stronger. So whenever there is a Blood Moon, Kim Dale is basically having her powers magnified by 10. So this, I think, in my opinion, gives more meaning to a certain scene we got a glimpse of in the Season 5 trailer where Claudia is in what looks to be in an ocean, and it's very dark and there's a lot of red and black colors, and then you see what looks to be like a blood moon. So if that's the case, is Claudia working with Kim Dale? Oh. Alrighty, so moving on, the Bloodmoon Huntress herself is also a ruthless individual. She's willing to defeat and kill her enemies at all cost, and according to the Dragon Prince's Wikipedia page, she can conjure weapons that can change its form as needed. Which also makes sense because she had these like really long fingernails and that are probably now weapons, claws, in the trailer, and that quick final shot we got of her defeating all those Sunfire elves. Okay, defeating is too nice. She was killing them, alright? So it was really scary, and I guess this is how she conjures her weapons, by, yeah, consuming the blood of her enemies. This is crazy. And another interesting note here is that unlike other Moonshadow elves, Kim Dale is able to enter her Moonshadow form outside of a full moon night. That can get really interesting. I think that's a key point for us to remember when we get into Season 5, because it sounds to me that Kim Dale is really strong, and who can defeat her? Well, I can think of a few people, so let's get into that now, guys. The Bloodmoon Huntress is truly not unbeatable, and here's why. Example number 1. We learn a lot about Kim Dale and her encounter with Queen Aditi in a short story called The Queen's Mercy, which is available on the Dragon Prince's official website and was posted on May 23rd of this year. Long story short, Kim Dale goes to Luxoria looking for sanctuary and forgiveness and protection from Queen Aditi, because the dragons are all up on the Bloodmoon Huntress's case, and they said, girl, you committed some crimes, you and your family committed crimes, so we're gonna persecute you for them. So she went to Luxoria looking for protection. She says in the short story, and I quote, "If you know my name, then you also know of my suffering. For my crimes, the dragons have condemned me and punished my kin. They drove us out of the Moonshadow Forest, away from our homes, and killed us one by one until only I remained. Still, it is not enough. Still, the dragons seek my death." So I'm thinking here, if the dragons are seeking her death, how is she going to be able to stand up against all those dragons in Zadia? I mean, you have to imagine they have like a little dragon chat. They probably understand. Alrighty. Well, this is a bad person. We're putting her on our most wanted list. So I'm really curious, especially with Zubeia, how she'll react to Kimdale in this season, if they do interact. Now, in the short story, we learn a lot more about the characteristics of the Bloodmoon Huntress. Kimdale is fooling Aditi. She's lying and faking her nature of repentance for her crimes. However, Queen Aditi says to Kimdale, and I quote, "I see a light in you, the potential of a young flame." Now that's surprising to me. However, this could lead into possibly a character turn for Kimdale. Maybe Janai, if she of course has to fight Kimdale and sees her and maybe sees that light as well. There's a little bit of mercy there, and who knows what happens with Kimdale from that point onward. Now, this is probably the most important part of this short story that will play into Season 5. Aditi forged a chain of sorts that permanently stayed with Kimdale, and Aditi called this a token of her protection and what resembles a mercy debt. This chain is suffocating as described in the short story. It represents the fact that Kimdale is basically at the mercy of Queen Aditi, and Queen Aditi ain't always that nice, y'all. You know, she looked to be a little aggressive here. She even has a line that basically says, I hope, you know, my descendants have more mercy than me. So Kimdale was pretty much trapped for a while, serving Aditi, and this is a chain that we actually still see in the Season 5 trailer. So it sounds like the Bloodmoon Huntress, for as evil as she is, she's still limited. And she's going back to Luxoria to possibly, well, not to Luxoria, but she's going to the Sunfire Elves camp to try and maybe infiltrate their people once more. And she's probably on this vengeful tour. But I do wonder how Janai will interact with Kimdale. Will it be with mercy or will it be with vengeance? And for me, Janai might be the key to defeating the Huntress. She clearly recognizes her in the action scene that we got teased from in the trailer. So it's going to be a really wild ride, and I do wonder how this entire fight ends up to be. So the second example of why the Bloodmoon Huntress isn't unbeatable comes from the graphic novel Bloodmoon Huntress, one that I admittedly did not read, but I did my research. And guys, Kimdale was defeated by Runan, and Athari. So I think that there's room for us to figure out or determine if Runan and Athari are to be reunited with Rayla, and of course the Bloodmoon Huntress comes across Rayla's path. I mean, couldn't they just defeat her again? Well, it might not be that easy, because according to the Dragon Prince wiki, Kimdale promised to continue her slaughter no matter what, even though she was eventually defeated by Athari and Runan's collaborative efforts and the use of their enchanted magic, or enhanced magic, I should say. So she swore to return and then just vanished without a trace. That is interesting to me. So she vanishes without a trace, says, you know what, I'm going to take the L on this one, you guys, and come back stronger. That's my thing. The Bloodmoon Huntress might be over ambitious, a little overzealous, and also a little too confident in her abilities, but it just sounds like she's been bottling up a lot of this anger and strength that she's been building over these years. So if we do get Athari and Runan's return, what if Kimdale defeats both of them, right? And now it's Rayla versus Kimdale. Oh my gosh. So let's transition into this next section of the video, which is who in the world will face off against the Bloodmoon Huntress. I do think one of the two possibilities is who we just talked about, and that is Rayla. I can definitely see her crossing paths with Rayla, because as we're at least led to believe, Runan and Athari are going to be present in Season 5, and if they do team up with Rayla, Callum, and the gang, and Kimdale comes and tries to, of course, kill them a second time, I don't see why Rayla wouldn't stick up for Runan and Athari and get incredibly upset. So this could pave the way for Rayla defeating Kimdale, but I don't just mean knocking her unconscious. This might actually pave the way for Rayla to get her very first kill as a Moonshadow Assassin elf. I don't necessarily think Rayla wants to do that, but if she's got to choose between the Bloodmoon Huntress and Runan and Athari, I mean, of course, you guys know who she's going with. So I definitely think Rayla has it in her, just as long as she's doing it in self-defense and to defend her family. So I don't know, y'all. This is going to be really interesting because we know Kimdale is going to, of course, try and kill Rayla and the gang. But will Rayla have enough courage to do the same if the situation calls for it? It's going to be wild. Now, my second theory here is that the Bloodmoon Huntress is going to face off against Janai, but it's going to be one-on-one. It seems to me that Amaya is going to split apart from Janai, not relationally, I mean in terms of her going to help Rayla, Callum, and everyone track down Erebos, so Janai's staying back to take care of her Sunfire homies. So listen, she's got to protect her people. She's queen, and we still know that Prince Kareem is out there recruiting Sol Regum to maybe, I don't know, come and take back Luxoria. I have no clue, guys. It's going to be interesting. But staying on Janai, I think Janai's the only one in that camp right now that could possibly fend off the Bloodmoon Huntress. And in the short story that we just talked about, former Queen Aditi says, "Pray that my descendants are more merciful than I, Bloodmoon Huntress." So it's entirely possible that Janai is that descendant who is merciful, and if Janai does defeat the Huntress, she'll maybe grant mercy on Kimdale and take that chain off of her. Maybe that's the sign of goodwill and faith to turn the tides in that nasty heart of the Bloodmoon Huntress, to then maybe say, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of deal, so I'm going to join you in your efforts to defeat Erebos. That could be a possibility. But all theories aside, I genuinely believe that Kimdale is going to play a bigger role in Season 5 than any of us could have thought, and this is probably a pleasant surprise for those who are reading the graphic novels outside of just watching the television series. What I'm hoping doesn't happen is that they bring in a ton of characters and it distracts from the A plot, which is, well, trying to figure out how to stop Erebos from escaping prison. And I definitely think Claudia and Kimdale are probably going to find some sort of common ground. So let's say all of my theories are wrong. The third theory that I have that just kind of is so far away from what I think could happen is this. Well, I think the Bloodmoon Huntress and Claudia are going to team up, join forces, and Erebos is somehow going to recruit Kimdale. And, well, I think at that point, Claudia, well, they might have the upper hand, because Rayla, Callum, and the gang, they got all the dragons, sure, but listen, it's Erebos, and if you add on the Bloodmoon Huntress on top of his power, it's going to be hard to defeat. But guys, there you have it. That's my breakdown of who in the world the Bloodmoon Huntress is, why she'll be important for this season, and who could possibly defeat her. Let me know down below in the comments, though, what you think of my theories and what you think of this new character, because while it is familiar for some of you, of course, for me, this is a new character, and I actually love the fact that we're getting new characters that aren't necessarily just one-off heroes. This seems to be a villain that we could see for another season or two. And if you haven't already, hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future Dragon Prince content. July 27th is around the corner, and when that day comes, guys, you're getting my reactions, my reviews, my breakdowns. Oh, so much is in store for the next few months. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, I appreciate you all for your support, for your love, and again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Oh, man. Alright, well, I'm deleting all this. I'm going to throw some holy water on my iPad because we do not mess with the Bloodmoon Huntress.